With this show, I mentioned I mentioned the narrator earlier. I think you said his name was Bobby.
Yeah,
Yes.
Bobby. Yep, Bobby Duncalf.
Dude, hell yeah. I wrote down because I once I remember what the show was, I was like, dude, can we get that guy on the show too? Because I could have a heyday asking him a million questions about that season, just what that was like for him. But like
Yeah.
in your perspective, what was that like? Was he rehearsing with the drum corps? Like, what was that rehearsal situation like with you guys?
So I'm gonna try to. It's way back in there. I'm gonna try to pull it out and remember. But I
It was a
remember
long time ago.
Bobby was actually a front ensemble vet. He had played
Uh-huh.
marimba in 2013. I can't remember if he had marched any years before that, but he marched the previous year for sure. And when they, had auditions for the role, when they decided the show,
Mm-hmm.
they kind of had him in mind already because I believe he was a theater major. I forget where he went to school,
Oh,
but he had already had acting experience and had stage presence experience.
that
And
helps.
so whenever they were putting the show in mind, they kind of had him in mind as well. And I don't know if you know the name Wayne Harris. He's a pretty big consultant designer in DCI WGI, but
I don't think so. No.
he's his big thing is storytelling and how to tell a
Mm-hmm.
story and how to be a character and how to
Yeah.
get into character. And so I remember they brought in Wayne to kind of help us as the drum corps to get into our character in that show. And he did a lot of one-on-one time with Bobby, and like his sectional time was just one-on-one with Wayne Harris for like a week straight.
Wow.
And so there were times when we were like, whenever we had brass block, yeah, Bobby's not there. Bobby's working with Wayne, but there were ensemble rehearsals were a lot with Bobby, and because he was doing it live every time, it wasn't recorded and you hit the play button. It was
He's
him
doing it live.
trying to nail the inflection every time, trying to nail the timing. So he had to rep
Mm,
just as much as us to really nail his part, and he killed it.
yeah.
He's so good.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
still think about that opening hit and
Yeah.
the foolish miscalculation still in my brain. It's like etched in there. I hear his voice.
It's so
I know.
good. It's so perfect. Like every single part when he comes in, I'm like, perfectly timed, perfectly placed. It
Yep.
just
Mhm.
all like it was so good. And I just remember falling in love with that show because I was just like, this is so cool. This is so much different. I never thought I would see something like this in drum
Yeah,
corps. So that was just
it's
like
awesome.
once I was like, dude, yes, have to talk about that. Absolutely.
You know where the original idea for the Pink Floyd and Wizard of Oz came from, right?
I I don't know, but I was gonna guess. I was like, is this like a spin-off like dark side of like Wizard of Oz show?
Yeah,
Like
so it actually goes back to like an urban legend about
mm,
I forget what the exact scenario was, but some people that like to enjoy a certain plant would like to put
okay.
on Pink Floyd and watch movies.
There you go. Yeah, absolutely.
Try to see what the movie would look
Trying to see
like
the
with.
dark side of the moon.
Yeah, and so the story goes that they were doing that, watching movies while listening to Pink Floyd, and they
Yeah.
started listening to Dark Side of the Rainbow at the same time as the movie, and the way the songs transitioned and lined up with the scenes in the movie, it's like
Oh.
lined up perfectly. And like I remember one of the songs said something about changing color, and if in Wizard of Oz, when the changes
Mm-hmm.
from the grayscale to the color,
Yeah.
it lines up with the lyrics in the song. And
Mm.
whenever they were like going down the yellow brick road, they were talking about like the travels and the journey or whatever the song was about.
Oh my
And the
god.
song "Money" by Pink Floyd, you know that song?
Yes. Yeah.
Whenever they got to Emerald City, that song was playing.
Oh my
Yeah, so it's just like a
god.
bunch of crazy coincidences about that album lining up with the movie. And so they took that inspiration for that urban legend
To
and
make it a show.
made a show.
Okay, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Oh my god. That's sick.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Oh my
Whenever they
god.
were telling us about it in the preseason, I was just like, this
This is
is
gonna be the coolest thing
really
ever.
dope. Really dope.
This is gonna be sick. This is gonna be
And it
really
was,
cool.
and it turned out to be a really awesome show with really great design. And the ending. Did you understand the ending when you watched the show? Like, did you get what it was happening?
Right off the top of my head, no. Like I've watched it like the past like 3-4 days, but like right now off the top of my head, I can't like
Yeah. So the
remember.
ending goes with the scarecrow Bobby going into a monologue. I think it's a Shakespeare
Mm-hmm.
monologue.
Mm-hmm.
And that part was recorded because he was actually changing back into the scarecrow costume or changing
Oh,
into
that's
the
right.
scarecrow,
That's right. Okay. Okay.
the OG one, not the business suit one that he wore for the whole show. So while that's happening, he's changing into the scarecrow costume, and the horn line and battery are making a drill shape that is supposed to be like the yellow brick road.
Mm.
So as the outro is happening, he's skipping down the yellow brick road, and then that little color guard girl that was following him around the whole
Yeah.
show, that was supposed to be like his sidekick or his henchman or whatever,
Yeah.
ends up wearing the crown that he was wearing and putting on the tux, and she's sitting in the throne.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. Okay, so Colts 2014 is top 5 show of all time. Let's just put that out there right now. I don't think I've ever
It's
heard
really
any other
cool.
show
There's a lot of
that
little Easter
elaborate.
eggs, unless like you talk to someone that marched there,
It's in
or
my top 5 now.
yeah,
It's
just
in
so
my
many
top
little
5.
intricacies. And there's actually one of my favorite things about that show. Watching it back, whoever was recording at the time, I think it was back in that time, it was still DCI was recording their own
Yep.
stuff.
Yeah, they were doing
And
their own
so
stream.
on the semifinals recording, there's a part between the second movement and the ballad where they go into
Mhm.
Great Gig in the Sky. They
Yes.
play this little transition music, Everything in Its Right Place by Radiohead.
Yep.
So while that's happening, it kind of fades to gray, like they turn the grade scale on, and they go down this little drill set, and the sidekick girl like goes up and finds this box, and in the
Mhm.
box is a pair of the ruby red slippers that Dorothy
Oh.
had. And
Uh-huh.
so what DCI did is when they opened the box and pulled out the red slippers, they had it changed from black and white to color.
Oh, okay, cuz wait. I was just watching the show and I noticed that
Yep.
all of a sudden the color started changing and I was like, is this someone like did someone go in and do the editing for
Nope.
this cuz like the
DCI
color
did that, and
changes
that was on
to
the
all.
semifinals DVD.
Okay, so you're just making a better case for it to be top 5 of all
It's pretty
time.
cool.
It's just
We
the
didn't
show.
ask them to do that. We didn't. That wasn't like planned. Like
Because I'm watching that. I was going to ask about it, but I was like, no, that's probably a stupid question. This is
no,
probably
it's.
someone
I
just
remember
editing
watching
it.
it postseason. I was like, wait, did they do?
Why
They
is,
did. It's on the DVD, sealed forever in time.
and they
DCI
didn't
did
put
that.
you in finals.
Right. We were on the cover of the semifinals DVD, so it's fine, I guess. Being on the
Mm.
cover of the DVD is not as cool as being on the finals DVD, though.
Real. Very real. Very, very real.
It's a good season.
Going absolutely.
Love it.
Um going into that like finals week, just to kind of cap off 2014, when you guys get to semifinals and the scores come out and everything, and you find out that you're like you missed it by point one.
Yeah.
What's the reactions from everybody? What is it's
Man,
gotta be obvious, but
it
I'm
was tough.
curious to know what that's like.
It was tough, and we were all kind of on the edge of our seats, like hoping for it. And the scores from prelims were not looking super hopeful. Like we're like maybe
Mhm.
there's a chance.
Yeah.
Depends on what the semifinals panel thinks, and we were ready for it. It's a really good possibility it could happen. And I remember I was in the stadium. I think with my mom. She was there to visit to see semifinals because that was the guaranteed show for us.
Yeah.
So I remember sitting with her, and they're sitting, I think it was right after one of those top 9, 12, 11, 10 place scores where they finally announced the 13, 14, 15. And I remember just sitting there and they're announcing, and I'm like, okay, 15th place. I don't remember. I think it was
Cool.
Pacific Crest that year. 14th
Yeah, something like
place,
that.
Troopers. So we beat
Yeah.
Troopers. 13th place with a score of whatever it was. The Colts.
Yeah. And you're just like, but then to see the breakdown.
Well, and
Like,
then they announced the Crossman, and I wasn't like at that point I was like, damn, we're out. I didn't
yeah,
realize that. And then they put up like the scores on the big screen,
the
and I look at
Jumbotron.
it, the big jumbotron and Lucas Oil. I look up and I see like whatever 80 something .1 and then 80 something .2, and I was .1 away, man.
What even goes into the point one? Like you just wonder sometimes when you just sit there and look at you like, what? What
Well,
went into that
what
point one?
immediately goes through my mind is like, I don't know about you, but I immediately like, what could I have done better? What
Yeah, if
part
I'm
of
a
the
member, I
show did
probably
I
was like,
mess
what did
up?
I mess up?
Yeah, how could this have happened to be .1 out?
Yeah,
And ultimately, there's so much more that goes on behind the scenes for scoring and stuff that is not talked about, that will never see the light of day beyond the judges that were in the box that day or on the field that
yeah,
day. But
absolutely.
I think had we just been a little bit better of a horn line, a little bit better of a drum corps, and been undeniable, there was a chance. I don't think our semifinals run was undeniable, though. That's
Yeah,
the big
that's
deal.
respectable.
I think
Respectable.
the youngness of the drum corps kind of cracked under the pressure a little bit, and
Yep.
I remember talking after the show like that wasn't our best guys,
That wasn't the one.
that wasn't the one, and
Yeah.
in that moment you're like, dang it,
And so much
for
of it too
me,
can be like,
I was like, I feel like I did everything I could. I feel like it's out of my
right.
hands. I feel like I executed to the best of my ability, and I try
Mm-hmm.
to think about what things I could have done differently and all. But I was like, at the end of the day, it is what it is, and
Cards fall.
the cards fall how the cards fall. And I
Mm-hmm.
still appreciate the hell out of that summer, and
Yep.
people have met along the way, and a lot of good friends from that summer still. And
Mm-hmm.
it's a good time.
Hell of a show. Top
Yeah.
5 show. Let's just put that down. If anyone's got a top 5, you need to put Colts 2014 in your top 5. I'm putting it in mine now. It's going in mine. We'll do a top 5 someday,
It's
and
cool.
it will be in
It's
there.
definitely a cool show. If you haven't seen it, I totally recommend.
Yep.
It's a lot of heart and
Absolutely.
soul went into that show. So
I mean, hey, the full show's out there. How
It
rare
is.
is it to see the full show on YouTube?
you can find some cake recipes out there that I'm sure you can have it.
You can find some really great bakeries out there.
Yeah,
dude.
some bakeries have that show. You can go find that out.
Dude, the moment when they figured out how to like cheat the system, I was like, yes, keep doing it. Keep doing it. DCI didn't say that. I did not say that.
Didn't say it at all. Nope.
Copyright.
Not at all. Yeah, no.
I know
You
copyright
should watch
law.
all your shows legally. And
I
get the
studied
recordings
copyright
legally.
law. I know what's up.
Oh man.